Welcome to our cozy farmhouse kitchen this morning. I am cooking up one of our favorites, a croissant breakfast sandwich, while the boys are out hunting with Dan, or at least our older boy is out hunting this morning. 'Tis the season. I wanted to have something warm and ready for them when they returned before we have a weekend of sports and all of the things to run around to. But I haven't really shared much at all about my grandmother's passing. We lost my grandma Jackie a couple months ago, and since then we've been doing a few things to clean out her house, and I've inherited a few pieces from her home, and while they are not, true antiques or anything of, high value to this world, they are super important to me, and I thought it would be fun to share them in today's video. If you know, you know. It is officially baking season, and I'm looking forward to all of the breads and the things, but lately we've been so busy I haven't even gotten my sourdough starter out of the refrigerator. We've just been on autopilot. So I'm excited to tell you about today's video sponsor, Wildgrain, because they have stocked my freezer with healthy sourdough breads that bake in 25 minutes or less with zero prep. So they're one of my favorite things ever. Let me tell you more about them. So Wildgrain is the first bake from frozen subscription box, but the best thing about it is it's not just your regular frozen bread that you can grab from the store. It's actually made by small bakeries around the country. And they focus on the nutrition of the bread. So there's lots of sourdough breads and few ingredients. So you're getting a high quality bread, and it bakes in your home in 25 minutes or less. So you get the convenience factor along with the health benefits of the sourdough. My whole family gets so excited anytime a Wildgrain box shows up, and anytime Wildgrain reaches out to work with me, I jump at the opportunity because I absolutely have loved everything we've gotten from them. This month we even received a couple seasonal items like their apple cider donuts, which were delicious with a cup of coffee, and there's also pumpkin cinnamon biscuits, so be sure to grab them while they last. I'm also really excited to try this slow fermented olive oil ciabatta. I just think that sounds so delicious. But the greatest thing is I have this in my freezer stash ready to go. Then I can just pop it into the oven and have something really fresh and homemade in a matter of minutes without having to lift much of a finger at all. I think you will so enjoy having Wildgrain in your back pocket for regular weeknights any time of the year, but especially with the holidays right around the corner. I think that getting into Wildgrain and getting that to be part of your freezer stash is so smart and will definitely impress your guests when the holidays come. Now, I know a lot of people struggle with being able to enjoy all the breads and the pastas, and that's another cool thing about Wildgrain. They actually make it very customizable whenever you order your box, and you can even get plant-based items or gluten-free items in your box. So no matter what your dietary needs, Wildgrain has you covered. One of our favorite things about Wildgrain are the croissants, and luckily those come in every single box because their big thing is free croissants for life. And I think I mentioned this in the last video, but that's just like my love language. Give me free croissants for life, please. Yes. So if you want to try out Wildgrain and get free croissants for life, plus $30 off of your box, be sure to use my link in the description box below. Thank you again to Wildgrain for sponsoring today's video, making my kitchen smell oh so cozy this morning. We really appreciate it. Okay, so probably my most prized possession from my grandma is her cutting table from her sewing room. And I think I've shared Grandma Jackie on this channel in one way, shape, or form a million times. She was a seamstress by trade, you could say. She also was a homemaker and raised 8 children at home. But she spent so much time at her sewing table and at this cutting table. This very large table is not only an amazing space to be able to cut large patterns, but it was also the table
in which held all of the desserts at Christmas time, and the family gathered around wherever we could in my grandma's small house. So it holds a lot of memories for me and my family. And I loved that when I opened up one of these drawers, for some reason, there was still a couple patterns left in there that my aunts and my mom didn't grab. They didn't mean to, they just happened to miss these two patterns, and one of them was the dress that she had sewn for me for my 8th grade graduation. So I just felt like that was a wink, and it was meant to be in my sewing room. While it was easy to find a home for the table I brought home from Grandma's, a few other things have been sitting in bags for a while.
So this was my grandma's trusty Tupperware that she always kept all of her cookies in. And it was tradition that she always made sugar cookies for the holidays. So I've kind of in the last few years taken on the sugar cookie making at Christmas with grandma's recipe. And so I've been entrusted with all of the cutters. And my favorite is the old Tupperware container. I think for now, I'm gonna put all of those in there and just store hers in here. She even has a pumpkin and a ghost, which I don't really remember her making, but that makes me want to make some Halloween cookies, but for now, I don't know that that's gonna happen, so I'm gonna put those in there. Like I could just open this and there would be chocolate chip cookies in there again. Just the feel of it.
And slowly but surely, I've been adding all of these things to our seasonal decor, and I know that they will be special when I get to pull them out. There's a lot of handmade things that my grandma's kept over the years. As I had mentioned, she was a seamstress. She made us everything. She made my sister and I matching outfits. She made all of our first communion dresses and graduation dresses and prom dresses, you name it. And she was also famous in our local community for all that she did with alterations. At the funeral, I remember the priest talking about how well known she was just for helping out at the church, and how many wedding dresses she must have altered. I think almost every married woman in attendance could have said that she had laid hands on her wedding dress at some point. She was just a special lady, and everyone in our community knew her as Grandma Jackie, or at least everyone around my age, my friends and such. So today I am getting to use the table for the first time and remember Grandma in some creative ways, how she taught me to kind of make patterns and make things work with what I had. So we're getting in my fabric stash, also another grandma-ism, to have a stash of fabric because you just never know. So I've had this little knit. Honestly, this knit probably came from my grandma's fabric stash because I used to be the grandchild that would come and rob her stash for my projects. I don't know that she really ever minded, but I think she was happy to share her sewing with someone else. This little knit is gonna be part of Reese's Halloween costume. She had mentioned to me that she wanted to be some sort of ballerina, but she wanted to be like a white ballerina, instead of a pink one, I guess. I don't know. She's 5. That's how she worded it. So we're gonna call this one, maybe an ice ballerina because I didn't have any white, but we did have a little bit of this ice blue, and I have some icicle looking things I'm going to add to it later too. But as you can see, Reese has that little design bug as well, so she's going to doodle her sketch over here on my chalkboard door while we get busy cutting this pattern that I'm making.
That's what my head's the necklace.
Now you can hear exactly what I was talking about with this table. It just has this particular sound when you cut across it, and it makes my heart so happy. Now just a couple notes on what I'm making here. I decided to make her somewhat of a swimsuit bodice. That's why I had her old swimsuit out here this morning. I'm cutting the front panel leg just slightly higher than the back. And then the neckline is going to be the same on the front and the back. And I made sure that the knit stretched at length because she's so long. I didn't have her next to me the entire time I was making this. So I was just hoping that it was going to fit when everything was all said and done. So you can see here, I'm going to cut that leg just a little bit higher in the front. And this is honestly how I go about making lots of things for my kids. I just trace something that fits them, and I try to think about those pieces, those pattern pieces, and make it come together. Now, when it comes to Halloween though, we're going for function and form more than we're going for the perfect pattern and the perfect fit. So this was just a little quick project, and I think, as you'll see here in this video, it turns out perfect for my 5-year-old. She's very excited about it. We're just going to sew down the seams here and then again at the top. And I kind of had to adjust after doing a fitting, so that happens too. Also, my sewing machine was giving me some trouble, and I really need to troubleshoot it, but the tension seemed to be off, and it's doing something weird when I zigzag stitch. It like zigzags a couple, and then it'll do like 2 big straight stitches, and then it'll go back to a zigzag. So this is one of those things that I'm like, oh, Grandma would know. She would know what's wrong with it. So if you know, drop me a comment down below. We can troubleshoot this together. Although I'm so glad that we have Google these days. Maybe I can get to the bottom of it on my own. But it's good to have sewing friends so that we can help troubleshoot all of these problems together. Now, it could have also been my knit and my fabric, or, and my thread and stuff that I was using. I was kind of just using what I had lying around to make this come together. And that's definitely something that Grandma would have done too. She was born and raised during the Great Depression, and I think that had an impact on the person that she was. I can't still pick up a spare rubber band or a paper clip and think, man, I better save this, because like Grandma would have never thrown something like that away. She had her little drawer where she'd keep things and reuse and recycle, and it wasn't so much about being green back then. It was just about, taking care of what you have. So that's definitely a grandma-ism that I would like, myself and this generation to focus on a lot more, is to use what we have. And honestly, it honestly works out. I always find if I use what I have, I get more creative, and I end up with something better than I probably would have had I just gone to the store and found exactly what I had been envisioning or ordered it on 2-day Amazon Prime, So in this case, I also think my daughter ended up with something better here that she's really excited about, because it's kind of her vision coming to life for Halloween based on what we had. Now for the skirt of this ballerina, I had a big piece of white netting, and so I decided to cut it into essentially 4 layers per gathering, and then I decided to make 2 of them. So there's 8 layers of this netting underneath her skirt, and I am just gathering it all up so that it can be as full as possible on her. And then, as you'll see in the video, I'm also going to make a smaller piece to go on top, just to kind of create a ruffle on top of the netting, just to give it a little bit more movement and to match the tunic that I made for the bottom. Now, I will also mention that swimsuit that I showed you we were making earlier, I had a moment where I was like, I don't know what I was thinking, because when I send her to school in this, it's going to be really hard to use the restroom. And she'll have to wear her costume all day. So I ended up cutting the swimsuit part down into a 2-piece and added some elastic, of course, and then she'll wear her leggings underneath. So that'll make life so much easier. I really wasn't thinking about all the bathroom breaks with this big fluffy costume. So I ended up making that into a 2-piece. I just wanted to mention that. And it was simple to do. I Wish I would have made the top a little longer, but I just cut it in half and added some elastic because, again, with Halloween costumes, we're just kind of going for form and function, not so much a perfectly finished project. Although I do hope that these costumes stand the test of time so that I can hand them down to baby Ruth whenever she's ready. And speaking of which, I ended up having her wear the Little Red Riding Hood costume that I had made on this channel several years back for Reese. I ended up having her wear it this year, so I'll try to include a clip of her in here too, but she turned out so cute in that little outfit. Now, whatever my tension is doing here, it actually worked out great for gathering up this top knit ruffle part. It just kind of gathered it for me. So, you know, sometimes happy accidents occur when you're in a hurry. I also thought this draped really nicely, so I could have put a sleeve to this tunic as well, but I honestly was trying to just finish this up late at night, and so I didn't want to add to the project, but I just thought I'd share that with you as an idea if you wanted to add a sleeve to your little tunic. I'm going to use this ribbon here, and this is how we're going to gather it. I'm putting a pin here in the middle of my long ribbon, and I'm going to do the best I can to mark the middle of this and pin it together. Again, I have like 8 layers of netting here, so it's getting a little bit thick, and I'm hoping the ribbon will cover it. You'll also notice the grandma's horrible habit that has been passed down to me of putting pins in my mouth. What I'm going to do here is take the wrong side of my ribbon. See this side's shiny? I'm going to use the wrong side of my ribbon and put it down on this and sew these layers together. I'm going to sew along here. Then I'm going to flip my ribbon right side out and I'm going to sandwich this. I'm going to sandwich that in there like that. Spoiler alert, it got really hard to fit that with that ribbon, so I should have had a wider piece. And I do need to go back and hand sew just to enclose all of that a little bit better. It probably needs to be done by hand. I made it too big, so I'll have to go see how that fits on her.